Lauren Landers is a solo sailing YouTuber who has amassed more than 175,000 subscribers and 36 million views. Lauren joins us to discuss her love for sailing, what got her started on YouTube, the trials and tribulations of being a solo sailor creator, and more around her meteoric rise on YouTube and plans to sail across the Pacific Ocean. Join us for this exclusive Advertising Week interview with sailing creator and YouTube sensation, Lauren Landers.
We are joined today by Lauren Landers, sailing YouTube content creator who has amassed over 171,000 subscribers and nearly 36 million views. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So typically we start these by hearing a little bit about you, your background, and what inspired you to start creating content on YouTube.
Yeah, so I'd say the sailing part definitely came first. I never really wanted to get into the whole YouTubing thing. So that came after I had the boat, and I always wanted to live on the water. I grew up visiting the Bahamas. I got my degree in marine biology in Florida. And after I was a captain and I worked under some friends, and I just knew I wanted to get a sailboat. So when the time was right, I got one when I was 21 years old. And within a couple of weeks of owning the boat, the engine hydrolocked and I was stuck in Florida. And I was supposed to be doing charters during that time to make money to pay off the boat and such. So I was stuck in Florida with no income and just waiting for people to do work on the boat. And I figured, why don't I start to try to edit? And I started then with not much content because I hadn't been really creating content at that time. And from then on, I started filming and it just started growing. So I kept doing it. I was still doing charters at the time. So I eventually realized I had to give one of them up because YouTube is a full-time job, and so is chartering and maintaining the boat. And about almost exactly 1 year ago, I stopped chartering to focus solely on YouTube.
Wow, amazing. And when you started creating content, did you go right to YouTube initially? Were you on Instagram?
I had a decent following on Instagram, not great, but I was running charters through Instagram. So I was advertising charters through Instagram, and it was a big enough platform for that. And I'd been posting pictures, and it's kind of when Reels had just started. So I was kind of having fun with Reels, but nothing crazy. And I did get into Instagram a bit too.
When you started releasing YouTube videos initially, did you get views right away because you were able to tell people from Instagram, or was it like?
I actually didn't even I didn't even announce that I was making YouTube videos. I just kind of did it because they weren't great. Even now, I still barely advertise on Instagram, but I'll drop the link once in a while, but it was the 10th or 11th episode that skyrocketed. And that's when all the views and subscribers started coming in.
And it was just like a snowball effect from that video?
Yeah, just kept rolling ever since.
And when that happened, like when you released that video and it's performing way better than your previous uploads, what's going through your mind? Are you thinking like, wow, this might actually be a potential career path?
So I had just gotten, I was waited in Florida for 3 months for this engine. And so this episode specifically was me leaving Florida after 3 months of work and finally back in the Bahamas. And I published a video, a month after being back in the Bahamas, but it blew up a week after I posted it. So I'm just sitting there logging on to do something. I didn't really have anything to check on YouTube at that time. And I just see all these views on the top skyrocketing. I'm like, wait, what's going on? And so I looked, I'm like, oh. And then within a week, I was like, I'm monetizing already. So it was really exciting. And yeah, that's kind of when I realized I could potentially make this a thing.
Now, like your content today, how has it evolved over time? Like since you got started, and what have you figured out like works that you've integrated into your strategy going forward?
I would definitely say I've learned a lot on the filming, content creation, and editing side. I knew nothing, and a lot of my subscribers have actually commented just like, hey, do this for your audio or do this for this, and it's helped a lot. And I probably wouldn't have grown as much as I did without some of them giving me that constructive feedback that I needed. As far as content wise, I definitely have the solo sailing part and the female part going into that. There's not many girls that sail solo out here. There are definitely a few, not a lot, but some of them do solely racing, or some of them are just getting into it or may have sold their boats. So there's not really a lot of people I have to compete with either, and that definitely helps.
So let's talk about that part. Like, you know, there's just female or male solo sailing is people would say dangerous, risky.
Completely.
How are you so comfortable just jumping in and doing that initially? And, you know, as you've done this now for 2 years, do you feel like this is like home, like you love being alone and sailing, or is it ups and downs and there's a lot of challenges to do this by yourself?
I love it, but there's definitely a lot of ups and downs. So I was, after college, I'd been working as a captain during college, and then one of my friends was like, hey, come hop on my catamaran. It'd be great if you could co-captain with me. And so I learned a lot from her, but living with her on her boat for a couple months, we just met so many other sailors. And during that time, I realized, like, we can all call people. Like, this community is so great. I can call anyone at any time. And if I don't know what the problem is or how to fix it, I know that someone I call can help me, at least walk me through it. And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have bought my boat when I did. Because there are definitely challenges, and I've been through them, as every sailor has. We all have a lot of lows. But whenever I've needed a hand, somehow there's always been someone around that's willing to help. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be where I am today and floating. So that's been a big one, but I absolutely love it. I love working on the boat, and I love not having big problems, but it's kind of fun getting to learn every aspect about the boat, and you learn a lot about yourself and that you actually can go fix some things you never thought you'd be able to do.
What would you say is your least favorite part of solo sailing?
That's actually a good question. There's a lot of it I like. I would say when diving, for sure, I'm a big free diver, and I won't go free diving alone. I'll go on a quick snorkel around here alone, but I won't go dive somewhere. Like, I love looking at Google Maps and finding spots that are very off grid and not where a lot of people go. And I've had times where I'm like, oh, it'd be so cool if someone was here to see this too. Yeah. Or just, I want to go here, but it's always a last minute thing. It's not like I'm planning these trips months in advance and be like, hey, come down, we're going to go do this thing. It's like, I'm sitting here, the boat's in good shape, the weather's great, and I leave in the next 5 minutes to go do that. So I'd say that's probably one of the biggest downfalls I have, is just getting to share those things with people whenever I want to.
What would you say is like your typical day or like your typical week? Like, what does that look like? You know, how do you get your food? What do you decide? Because part of the beauty of what you're doing is freedom, right? And being able to do what you want. What does like your ideal week and day look like?
So as a day goes, like if I'm anchored all day, it would be editing, working on the boat in some shape or form, and then usually editing or just kind of making sure the boat and business side are manageable. I wouldn't say ever get ahead, but manageable is a nice spot I like to be. And especially like right now, I'm planning on a sail soon, on a 100-mile plus sail. So I'm kind of watching the weather every day and making sure I have everything. So I'm making like my list. Do I need to go get engine or oil for the engines? And what groceries do I need? What packages do I need to pick up? I have a cat, so I need to make a vet appointment for him. So he can go to the next country. And just watching the weather every day and making sure I'm in the right spot to leave and what weather gap is going to be the same. And then at the same time, making sure, again, the business side of things are ahead at that point, because I don't really touch my laptop when I'm sailing, and also making sure the boat is ready to go. So then it becomes a lot of prep and just positioning myself to make it the best sail I can, safest sail.
And would you say now, because you do have a serious YouTube channel and following across socials, what would you say is like the split between sailing responsibilities and everything else?
It kind of is like this big swing. Sometimes the boat just seems to be doing really good, knock on wood, because it's not all the time. And I'm able to get ahead in editing, and it's really nice. And sometimes I can go further than that and work on all the other projects I want to do. But then sometimes, for example, when I'm in the yard and doing like the major refits, I may get on my laptop a couple hours a day if I'm lucky, and just spending every minute I can on the boat. But then in the optimal times, it's kind of during cruising season, and I'm just kind of balancing them both. But I would say when the boat's doing pretty good, I definitely spend way more time on the computer than the boat.
And talking about YouTube now, shifting gears, has it just been you as far as like figuring it out, editing, shooting? Have you ever like had anybody help you, or like do you see in the future like having adding pieces to the team that give you some of your time back?
Yeah, I've done it all so far. I've definitely asked a couple of friends here and there, like, oh, what'd you use for this? Kind of more equipment wise. But other than that, I've done all the editing and filming and everything. Sometimes I have friends on board, they'll help pick up the camera, shoot the drone for me. But other than that, it's all me. And I have considered bringing people on to help. I'd say right now my biggest struggle is getting shorts out, because I'm spending so much time on the long form videos, and sometimes I just have it, I'm like, oh, that'd be a good short, and I can whip it together. But other times I'm like, I have no idea, especially what platform what wants right now, so I just don't mess with it. And then on the long form editing side, I have definitely considered it. I'm trying to kind of need to organize my content to be able to send it off. I think what's holding, and right now I feel okay managing it all, but it is something I want to do at some point for sure.
Yeah, definitely. That makes a lot of sense. And as you've worked to kind of master YouTube, have you been surprised how reliable it is, in the sense of like getting views and being able to make money, and that it's like a great place to create content?
Yeah, I actually can pretty much, I'd say it's pretty consistent. I know as long as I stay consistent and continue producing the content my audience has enjoyed so far, that I kind of know what my income's going to be. And if I ever leave the boat for a couple months, I know my income's going to drop, because I'm filming stuff that they didn't subscribe to see me on land. They subscribed to see me on the boat. And some will definitely still watch and still support, but I know my income goes down if I'm not on the boat. So it's definitely been consistent, I would say.
Yeah. And what would you say, going forward, what are your goals? Like, what do you want the next year or 3 years or 5 years? Do you have any like personal goals or content goals that you want to achieve, on your channel or just in general in life?
Yeah, I want to cross the Pacific. I'm thinking in the next year. That will be a big one. And I think one of the things I'm kind of stuck with content-wise is the Caribbean is kind of the same over and over. I love the Bahamas. There's diving. It's just beautiful. And I think content-wise, it's even a better push for me for the Caribbean, just because there's so many remote places that people won't ever see. I mean, here you can get a flight to any of these islands in the Caribbean, and I don't know, the Pacific is just so remote and untouched that I think I'm excited for that personally, to sail there, but also for content wise, and I just can't wait to share it. And I think that will also help grow the channel and the business as well.
Yeah, of course. Are you nervous about such a big passage?
I'm at the point where I'm trying to like make lists every day of what do I need to do for the boat? Is the boat ready? Am I going to take crew on? Am I not going to take crew on? I haven't done any research for what I actually need regulation wise. So yeah, there's a long list of things, but I've had quite a few friends that are across the Pacific, and It can go very smoothly or something crazy could happen, but most of the time sales go pretty smoothly. So I just try to keep that in mind.
What would you say, like talking about some of the best or like craziest moments since you started publishing videos on YouTube? Are there any inflection points that like stick out to you, like crazy videos or things that happened, either good or bad?
Honestly, some of the craziest ones were before I really started filming. Like I had a sale 24 hours without an engine, like it wouldn't work, and I hadn't started filming at that point, but that would have been an amazing video if I would have been filming.
Yeah.
And there's times where I've gone off grid and just took beautiful spots or fixing the engine. But I wouldn't say that there's been anything that's just been crazy. I did a 6-day sale from the Bahamas to Puerto Rico, but the sale went pretty smoothly. So there's no drama. It's just another great sale. And I'm happy to say that. I'm glad it went that way.
Yeah, definitely. What do you have to say to the fans that have supported you so far? Like any word to the people that, you know, watch every video and are clicking on the notifications right when you drop a new content?
You guys definitely encourage me, and it's really fun to see that you guys enjoy watching the videos, and it is a motivator to continue putting them out big time.
Amazing. Well, this was really fun. Thank you so much for spending time with us, and we're looking forward to more content and the big Pacific Ocean passage in the next year.
Thank you so much for having me.